Arianna, welcome. How you doing today?
Thank you. Thank you, Austine. Doing great. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well. Thank you so much for joining me. I came across you on LinkedIn, and I thought you'd be a very interesting person to speak with, especially with your background in link building, which is a word most SEOs tend to stay away from these days.
Yeah, I hate it at this point. I hate link building at this point. I'm happy to talk about it. I know a lot.
we'll, we'll talk about it. So I want to cover a number of topics. I want to get into your background in SEO, link building. I see you're also consulting now, so I want to get your opinions on a couple of questions around that. And also, we'll get into
Perfect.
your SEO course, which I found very, very interesting. And then we'll finish off with your opinion on the SEO community at large. So, if that all
Perfect.
sounds good
Awesome.
to
Excited.
you, as
Yeah.
I like to do with all my guests, I like to ask them how they got into the SEO industry. So, with that said, how did you venture into becoming an SEO professional?
Perfect. I'll give you some of the story. So I started
Yeah, go for it.
working in digital marketing when I, like more or less 6 or 7 years ago. It was my second semester of university. I was born and raised in Venezuela, but I came here to the US where I live now to study like business. And eventually I found a job at the marketing department on my university. And then I was like started to look at my responsibilities were like looking at the website, a little bit of like pay per click. I had no idea about anything. And I was there for like almost 3.5 years doing like a little bit of everything within digital marketing, a little bit of like web stuff. I worked hand in hand with the web developer, etc. And then eventually I did an internship in Unilever. It's a big like consumer goods
Hmm.
company, and the internship I did was only about SEO. They wanted to understand how much of their SEO efforts were related to voice search. So at that point, like 2018, like 4 or 5 years ago, voice
Yeah,
search was going to be like this next huge big thing, right?
yeah.
So they wanted to like be ahead of the game and understand like how they could fit in voice search into their strategy. And then I realized, it had all to do with feature snippets and how feature snippets work. So I dove in deep into SEO, and then from there, just experiences here and there. Went back to uni, graduated, did link building for a small local business, then went to an agency, learned tons on the agency side. I did link building for a
Mm.
while, then did like content SEO. Then I was link building manager. So I probably like on me, I had like 1,000 links I built. And then eventually decided to quit, do my own thing. And I do now consultancy mostly for um, software clients, finance, and Web3. And then, yeah, and I teach, etc. So it's kind of like my whole journey. And I'm kind of like you, obsessed with SEO. And I
Mm.
want more people to like get into the industry.
What do you think it is about SEO that has you or had you or has you obsessed with it?
At the beginning, I would say it was very new. Like I understood the value of it, and also I've never seen something like that. So for me, it was like a moment
Hmm.
to differentiate myself from other marketers and from other
Mm.
marketing other marketing channels. And then also because it paid better. Honestly, when I was
Mm. Yeah.
like maybe a year before graduating, I was like, I'm in the right place, because within marketing there's some types of roles or responsibilities that are not as highly valued sometimes. For example, like
Mm.
social media, or like, since everyone thinks they can do it, and everyone thinks
Yeah.
like super easy because we all have access, we all have Twitter, we all have Instagram, Facebook, etc. People think it's easy, therefore everyone like thinks they can do it, and therefore there's not that much demand. As for SEO, probably I'm the only person I know in like my, like, before I went into like the industry and you met people like online in person. I'm the only person I know like in my background, in my community, that does SEO, and most people have started to learn what SEO is through me. They still don't know. Like my family, my friends, they're still like struggling to understand what is it that I do, and I don't know anyone else that does it, for example. So some of those things were like, okay, I see it. I want to be this like make the difference in the space.
And imagine SEO is still a baby. Imagine what it's going to be like in 10, 15, 20 years from now. It's going to be huge, even more so now. So let's get into link building. How did you end up focusing on link building?
Okay, so funny enough, I didn't really do link building right before my first like full-time job. I'd say I was like an SEO specialist, but it was a local business that all they did for the past 10 years was link building. Like they only position themselves. That was like mainly their only SEO strategy. So when I was hired, I've never done link building before. I only had this experience around like keywords, around like voice search, but not really useful for any other like type of like SEO goal. But however, I was hired to do like 5 links per month, more or less, at this local business. And the way they did links then was like very spammy. It had nothing to do with like topical authority, or for example, it was like a airport parking website that was a business. And I was like finding links from like, I don't know, English tutoring websites or anything. They didn't care about the quality. They didn't have like that many standards, just like domain rating, etc. So I got in randomly that way. I wasn't being taught on how to do it properly, but that's how within SEO, what I learned first was link building and emailing hundreds of people. So I got very good at it.
Some people have stayed away from the term link building, especially now these days. People tend to almost shy away from the term, as though they never carried it out when they started. What's your take on the term itself, link building?
Well, I'm not against it. I see how much it can change, and it can help websites and position and tell Google, how much authority a page has for context. Like after that experience, I did go into a link building agency. So it was like they were only focused on building links for software companies. So that's what I started doing. And that's the only thing that we were doing for some of these clients. And they were like getting, it's a competitive industry. So of course you have to build links. So they were getting like more and more better rankings, traffic. So I'm like, wow, this really works. And then, but in the industry itself, I did see it's hard to do it the way Google wants it. So when I think about link building now, I'd say most people buy them. It's like 10 times harder to actually get them organically. And when I think about link building at the moment, I'm like, yeah, I'm buying links.
Well, it's an interesting area because it's necessary. Having links, I should say, is necessary. Link building as the practice itself, it can get very aggressive, should we say, especially the more competitive terms, the more competitive industries like the gambling industry. There is no two ways about it. If you're in the gambling industry, you need to be link building. That's the start and end of it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's just something that you need. But other industries, you almost can attain links just from the content that you create. So it's finding that balance, I find. And although a lot of people have moved away from the term link building, they still carry it out. They just don't like the term. I personally still like the term. I find link earning to be, I guess it's palatable for some who want to stay away from the term, but I just find that it's just something that needs to be carried out. Would you Do you have a favorite aspect of link building?
Well, the thing is, I did do it for a while, and I did see how much it improved like websites and rankings, and it's great like to show Google like the authority on a specific topic. The way I used to do it was like guest post exchanges, and then I would say the other way was like sometimes like link placement, so placing links on already existing websites. And wait, I forgot I went off from the question. What's the question again?
Do you have a favorite aspect of link building?
Okay, so my favorite aspect, I would say, is you actually get to really meet people and make real connections if you do it like the right way, not necessarily when you buy links, but you really get to know like people in your industry, not necessarily like people that do SEO only, but people that, for example, if you're building links for a client in a specific niche or industry, you really get to meet people that are website owners or bloggers in that niche industry, etc. And then ideally you make real connections. So I've made really great connections from and relationships from link building when done the right way. Actually, fun fact, when I was doing link building for this local business here where I live in Miami, Florida, in the US, I had no idea what I was doing, but I did know how to persuade people online and find them, etc. So I met this person. I was building a link with this person, and he when he placed the link, he made a mistake, and then he was not responding to my email. So I was like getting back to him, stalk him all the way, and then when he saw that I knew how to find him, and he was like, "Yeah, you know you're very good at this. Here's your link. Don't worry." I was like off for a few days. I really like I really like your approach. Let's have a conversation. And this was like back in 2019. And then no one really met, like you and I are meeting at the moment. Like people, it was weird. Zoom wasn't a thing. We were using like Skype. It was weird. So we hopped on the call, and he's like, "This is the first time I do this." And I'm like, "Me too." Like meeting someone online to work together. As crazy as it sounds today, 4 years ago, it wasn't a thing. It wasn't usual, even though I was working in SEO, like not common. And and even him, like he had experience in this software industry, etc. So he's like, "Listen, I'm building this like consultancy on link building, and this is my plan, and this is what I want to do." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in." So that's how I met my boss for the next 3 years. I was the first hire of that link building consultancy, just because we met like building a link. So it's like so powerful when you really make a connection. And I think that's a very good aspect of it. I don't miss it necessarily. I found other ways to maybe make connections, but I think it's very powerful. I think it's still something that should be happening when you're building a link is building a relationship. So beyond like just give me the link or place it here, it's like genuine concern or interest on that other person's life, career, business, and trying to really get to show how you work. You never know who's reading, who's watching, who's reading your email. So that's a very good experience on link building, the good part, I'd say.
Yeah, it's the networking is an area that I find a lot of people tend to be very interested in, because it requires them to be very sociable, and people who, that's why I would say digital PR people tends to be very good link builders because it just comes so natural to them. What an introvert will find difficult, someone who's a digital PR person will just be like, oh, this is just something that I do. They might not even be online link building, but going via social events, they can acquire links that way. I know a number of people who acquire links offline via social events.
Really?
Networking.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Yeah. That's
How?
a thing. That's a thing.
Wow.
Yeah. It's the industry. There's so many areas that one can focus in that it really relies on the individual knowing who they are, what talents they have, where they want to focus in, and they can branch into different areas, whether it's digital PR or focusing on content. So many areas. What would you say a client should know or be aware of when they commit to having links built for them?
I think first, like, they take time. Like when I used to work at the agency, like for example, the turnaround, we kind of explained clients was like about a month. Like from the not like a complete month when like from when we get like the targets from the client and when we do all the planning and then pitch, outreach, have conversations, etc. a month. But I don't think that's enough. I think to do it like really, so they need to understand it takes time, and it's not. I wouldn't say it's a month, like 1 month thing. I think it's like something that if you're trying to build like a link profile, clients or people should understand that it's not about like the individual link, but more about like which strategies are you using, how are you getting real how are you getting like real interactions, and how are you building real relationships with these people. For example, like instead of just emailing, like as you said, like networking for a link or doing events and somehow like doing like an exchange or like exchanging value for real, and not necessarily just like a transaction. Like you see a lot that you can go online and look for link building, and then you can go to any website and pay for like a fee, and then you get X amount of links per month, and you go with your life, like a shopping cart. And it's not really. Some people, I think that's what they think it's like. And when they do it like for like with an agency or with a consultant, that's more or less how they think. Oh, just give me it. Where's the link? Like, it's not ready. So it takes time, honestly, and resources. So first thing, it takes time. And second, they are important. So it's hard to like explain the value of SEO in general. I think it's easier when you explain the client like to invest like in keyword research, like planning the content, like on-page optimizations, tech stuff, because you can see it. You can see the page change. You can see the content change. You can track how many more impressions or visits the URL is getting. You can track. You can like run an audit again and see like all these changes, all these errors are gone, etc. But with link building, it's hard to really measure. Like, okay, we built this link, and this is the impact. Like, it's not straight away like measurable. It's like, it's very subjective. It could be the links, it could be the content. It's a combination of both, of course. But sometimes the client, sometimes they are like, okay, but that link's not bringing any traffic. And sometimes you don't really build links to get more traffic through the link to your site. Sometimes it's something else. Of course, it's nice if it brings traffic, but it's not always the case. So it takes time. There's not like a necessarily straightforward way to measure it. And two things, important things.
Absolutely. Completely agree. Now, let's move on to consulting. How are you finding consulting? So you recently became a consultant. How are you finding it?
Yes. So let's say I started freelance. I did attempt to freelance for a long time while I was working at the agency. I really sucked at like trying, like understanding, like how to plan, how to create a plan, how to charge, how to, set expectations with the client of what I could do, what could happen, etc. So I really became full-time consultant like July last year, maybe like 6 or 7 months from today. But I did start it way before, like freelancing here and there, and failed a lot of times. Like I was not prepared enough, or I didn't know how to do things. I was even once, I think I gave a client back their money because I was not happy on the way I was delivering, and I didn't know how to do things. Wow. So let's say I started like freelancing slowly, taking some contracts, and understanding like what worked and what didn't work for me and for clients. And then I would say at a moment I stopped freelancing for like a year because I was so busy with work. I was doing a master's, and I'm like, I'm not going to do any other thing beyond work and my master's. So I quit like for maybe like a year and a half. And then one day, a close friend of mine here in where I live from school, he tells me like, listen, I need help with my website. He has an e-commerce. And I'm like, listen, I'm so busy, I can't help you. Let me help you find a nice agency that can do the work. So he was looking for link building at the time, and I by no means wanted to do link building for him, for anyone, really. So I like put him in contact with a friend of mine that did link building, like as an agency as well. And then when they started working together, I realized there's other things that he needed help with. Like he wanted to start building content, so he was going to hire someone on Fiverr to do the content for him. I'm like, listen, please, you can be on your own if you're making this type of decisions. I'm going to help you, like very little, like by the hour. I just like made up an hourly rate at the moment that made sense for me, and now it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense today. I still like struggle with that decision I made a year ago, almost a year and a half ago. But then he was like my first client, so I started taking him by the hour, like as a consultant. Let's do this, like content, more on the content side, while I kind of manage the reporting on the link building side. My other friend gave me, and I became like their SEO person, like very slow, very little responsibilities. And of course, it started growing. The business started growing. It was an industry that had like very little. It's an industry that has very little competition, since like vaping, e-cigarettes, all those things are like very hard to. There's not that many things online. So with a good SEO, we went like from like zero. Like when he gave me his website, it was not indexed, for example. And then slowly today they made like, I don't know, 50K clicks per month, which is a very good, very good indicator of how easy it was. And like with, of course, well done work. So from there, I was still working full time. I just had like 1 or 2 clients like this, like very little things. And then eventually another friend reaches out and is like, listen, I have this project. I want you to do it. And this is a rate they have. Like the client had a rate. And that rate was like 3 times the rate I was like charging at the moment. So I'm like, wow, I'm clearly not aware of like how much I should be charging, like my value in the industry and the things I know. And then I just made a very basic like math. I'm like, I should quit. I should quit my full-time job. And also I was kind of like burned out. Like after 3 years in an agency, it's just a lot. I was manager at the time. I had like 8 people. So I decided to quit. I had like kind of like this contract going on. I quit. I signed the contract. And from there, it's just been a process of taking my own clients, growing like my other business, that's the course, and teaching people. So it was not like a straight journey for sure, but I have like less than a year, I'd say, as a full-time consultant. For me, it's been like 5, but definitely it's been a short time. And yeah, that's how it was. I'm curious to see how your journey was, because I see it's been like 6 years, and that's a lot.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride, I would say. It's every year gets better. The first year or two were very, very strange, because I found myself thinking like a consultant. Sorry, an employee. And I had to switch my mindset to being, actually, you're someone who's running your own business. So you have a lot of time, and that's great, but you still need to be able to be very disciplined with how you use your time. And again, as you mentioned earlier, value your time and show the value of your time. And with me at that point, it was quite straightforward, showing the value because of the years of, because of my experience to that point. The difficulty for me was an area that I'm not necessarily keen on wasn't necessarily keen on, was the networking part of it. And of course, that's essential. So that was a big eye opener. But yes, each year, literally, things get a lot better. And I'm finding that if I could go back to the first 2 years, I would say to myself, outline the areas that you want to focus on, because that will be better for you, rather than trying to service any and everything. I have experience in all areas
then you
of
end
SEO.
up like doing like Canva designs. Sometimes you don't put limits on what is it exactly that you do. If the client might need like help with the email marketing or like the website design, and sometimes you feel like tempted, right, to do those things, even they fall out of your expertise just for the money.
Yeah. Well, I always stuck with SEO, but I ventured into other areas of SEO because I have experience in several areas. I was able to jump onto each and every area where the client needed help with. And I think, looking back at it, that wasn't necessarily the best thing to do. I think it's better to decide what you want to do and then attract the clients based on that, rather than trying to service the clients based on their needs, only based on their needs.
I agree.
One thing that I noticed very early on is how much of a gap there is between SEOs and non-SEOs in terms of the knowledge. And as you know, with SEO, in order to have things implemented, we need non-SEOs, right? When you speak with, or when you liaise with clients, are you finding that they know very little about SEO?
Yeah. I mean, most of my clients, I'd say, like, there's like some things I do for some clients, and there's some clients that, let's say, I do everything. I do the whole thing. I'm their only like SEO person. There's like 2 or 3 clients of that manner. And I like clients. Sometimes I like clients that have no idea about SEO, because it's very easy. Like, they trust whatever it is that you're doing, because they have absolutely no clue on what is it that you do. They just want to see like the results, and it's very like easy in a way sometimes to convince them like this is what we should do and why, because for them it's like, I don't know how this works. But I do see that a lot, and I think why I've been so successful as a consultant, like keeping clients, retaining them, and that also like referring them to other people, is because I focus a lot on like education. Like, I'm not only like, okay, this is what we're doing, keyword research, sitemap, Google Search Console, like all these fancy words, and them being like, I have no idea, but explaining like, okay, I'm going to do a keyword research, and the keyword research finds the keyword, and the keyword is the thing that people put on the search bar. And I go like super basic with them, because I want to make sure they're understanding what's happening. And when I do that, they're like, wow, I've worked with like tons of SEOs before, but no one had explained this to me. And that's why some people, when they don't know SEO, comes in like an agency, a consultancy that has like doesn't do things very well, and then they get like fucked up because they didn't know what was happening. So for me, it's important. And also, for example, they show, like, a client shows me like something that was done in the past, and I'm like, listen, this is what happened before. This is what they gave you, and this is why this is not SEO, because SEO really is this. Or being like, this is the first time, for example, that you ever rank for this keyword. Like, you never done like SEO, and like I'll show the difference. This is what you were doing before. You were not putting the keyword on the headers. You're not putting the keyword on the titles. Your URLs were all like messed up. Your pages were not indexed, meaning like when they're not indexed means that Google does not see them. And they're like, wow, like trying to understand all those things. So I'd say the majority of clients don't know SEO, and it's most of the time it's a good thing, because whatever you do makes an impact. I'm like, wow. But sometimes there are clients that do know, and those are challenging, but also great to have like standards, and puts you also like holds you onto a standard to be like, I have to do great work, instead of like when someone doesn't really know, like maybe any work can make it. But yeah, most people, and in English, this like most of my market, but in Spanish, like it's even harder because people don't know SEO, and they have absolutely no clue about the value of SEO either. So no one invests in SEO. So it's like even more, there has to be more effort in explaining like why this costs so much money, doing the right way. And that's definitely the hard part. So like the clients that don't know SEO, but know SEO works, I like those people that request info, want to get quotes, that don't know SEO and they don't know SEO works. I don't like those. And it's hard to like, it's a process to get them to learn like how this works, etc. So that's kind of my take on that. What about you?
I find that SEOs, we almost do a disservice to non-SEOs in that they pick up on buzzwords that we have talked about within the community, within the industry, but don't necessarily know, how can I put this? They don't know the context around it. So as an example, a non-SEO might think of canonical tags, right? And they'll say, okay, our site needs canonical tags, canonical link elements. And then they'll put a canonical link element, and you look at the link and it's the home page as the canonical link element across all pages. That's a real example. That's something something I have seen before, and it's just it almost makes me laugh, because I can see how something like that almost happens in house, because they'll have this person working within the business, and they've been told this, but they don't have the context around it. So they literally just follow what they've been told, and they don't know what they don't know. So they follow instructions down to a T, without thinking of what they're doing. And it almost ends up creating more of an issue on the website. And then the SEO has to come in and say, actually, here's the context around this particular issue, and almost like take it issue by issue or step by step. Ideally, you want to take it step by step before an issue occurs, but sometimes an issue is almost unavoidable. If you think of all the issues, in fact, well, yeah, all the issues. I was going to say some issues, but no, all the issues that occur on the site, it occurs because of one or two or more people who are non-SEOs, and SEO is not going to mess up a site, or ideally they shouldn't, but a non-SEO inadvertently would. And that is where a lot of issues occur. And that's down, I believe, to SEOs not spreading the awareness of SEO to non-SEOs. And we need non-SEOs in order to have recommendations implemented. So there's that gap that's right there. And that's where stuff like this podcast came about, because I see that implementation is the key. Whether you're client side, agency side, or a consultant, we need people who are non-SEOs to implement what we recommend. So we'll need to be able to spread awareness of SEO outside of the SEO community. And this is where stuff like, I think, your course comes into play, because again, it's a way to spread awareness. Now, it's something that I saw on your LinkedIn. Please tell me about your course.
Sure. It's funny because if you think there's like misinformation or not enough people know about SEO in English, like in Spanish, it's like, wow, no one, like, it's real. Like, no, most people have no idea how it works. Most people just Google stuff because they do use Google. Like Spanish speaking markets and countries do use Google a lot as the first search engine. Of course, there's not as much, like, I'm going to speak like specifically around Latin America, where I'm from, not as much like digital adoption yet. Not everyone has smartphones, or like in other countries, English speaking countries, but it's definitely not an industry that's built yet. Sometimes you'll see like a lot of SEOs or information about SEO in Spanish from in Spain, like Spanish, like people originally from Spain. But in Latin America, there's like really not enough information that you can use it. You can do it for your business. You can do it as a great career, like you and me. And I saw it first because when I was working at this agency, they also serviced some Spanish clients or English clients that had like Spanish versions of the website. So we were trying to hire people that knew SEO in Spanish, so you could, do link building or do content things, etc., for the Spanish speaking websites. And it was such a struggle to find those people. Like, we had so many clients asking for, we want to like do this, that. And then with us, I was a manager at the time, trying to hire people that had at least some experience or knowledge level about SEO in Spanish. It was basically non-existent. And I also noticed there's like not that many resources in Spanish about SEO. It's all, and I'll say Spanish, but probably in other languages, it's very similar. So, but Spanish being like the second most spoken language in the world. I think I got that right, by the way. Like, I think the second. So it's like crazy, right? So I had the idea to create this course with everything I knew in a way that was easy to understand. Like, I went from like scratch, like, what's a website? What's the difference? A website, internet, what's a domain? What's hosting? Like, all those things. And trying to put it in a place that's like super user friendly, because most people that are Spanish speaking SEOs, they know English or they speak English. So I was trying to be like, there has to be something that's only for people that don't only speak English. And that's how I came up like with ideas. So I saw the demand, I saw the necessity to have something like that in Spanish, and I just put all my like hours of work into like outlining. Okay, if I were to learn SEO again in an orderly way, and in a way that's that makes sense, not necessarily the way sometimes you have to learn, like working here, working there, and messing up 100 times. Like, how would I learn the right way? So I would start like with this, understanding what's a website, the elements, understanding like what's a keyword, how it works, how to find it, and then what should you do with the keyword, like the whole thing from start to finish. And yeah, I published it. I like all like videos pre-recorded, and it's been like almost like 100 students since, and still like small from what I want it to be, but in general it's been great to like get people to learn. And then the ultimate goal of the course, not only like teaching, but really like getting people the opportunity to work in SEO, like to have a job, to have a different like way to make money that's not the one we're used to. So I've helped tons of people to find jobs after doing my course, so they can understand, okay, this is SEO, and then they can get placed in companies, entry-level positions, because now they know SEO. It's still a challenge because most people do need to like know English in order to like find a job, because that's
right.
Still, there's not many like job openings only in Spanish for SEO. But I think like definitely my take is like 5 to 10 years, it's going to be bigger in Spanish, and I definitely want to be part of it.
Awesome. Where can people find it?
So you can go to my website. It's my name, ariannalupi.com. And then you'll see there like a big button that says to like course. It's in Spanish, of course. So hacer curso, like in Spanish. So if you know anyone like Spanish speaking and they want to learn, so you can go there and just do the checkout, and you can like access it straight away. It's like 8 modules long. You can do it like in 9 to 10 hours, up to you if you want to do it like in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. My recommendation is to do it in a complete like month. So you do like 2 modules per month. You have quizzes, you have practice things, and it's super cool. Like great feedback. You'll see like the testimonials online. And I'm planning to do like a second part this year, because this first course is very, I would say, introductory. Like I cover everything, but you can't really from it actually like be like have practice. You can know all the concepts and maybe practice a few things, but you can't really go and like do a whole thing complete from scratch project on SEO. So what I'm trying to do this year is like the second part of it. Like you understood everything. Now like more like a boot camp or like a mentorship, let's practice. So like let's do keyword research. So they deliver it, like you deliver it to me. I'll like go through all the keyword research and give feedback more or less. So things like that. I'm planning on launching it May or June this year. Right. But definitely, yeah, the goal is to like bring more people into the industry.
Awesome. Well done on it. Brilliant. Moving into SEO community. I'm curious to get your take on a couple of things. So what would you say, if I were to ask you what you love about the industry, what would you say in response?
I would say I'm very happy I found like my tribe within the SEO community. I felt so lonely for years because, again, as I mentioned earlier, like no one I knew did it, only people at work. And then I started getting into like smaller groups within the SEO community, like for example, Women in Tech SEO or Latinas in SEO. When I found like a group, or for example, if you're like in an industry, so like e-commerce SEOs or SEOs for small businesses, like something like that, trying to like to find your tribe within your industry. When I found mine, my career changed forever, because therefore I was not alone in what I was going through beyond like the people I worked with. So I found, I don't know, like more content SEOs or more link building SEO. Sometimes you're the only SEO that does a specific thing for a company and you don't know anyone else because other people are like doing other roles. There I found like comfort. I found mentors. I found people that go through the same things. I found a community, and I really feel like I'm part of it. So I contribute, and that really changed my career forever. The friend I mentioned, like that made me quit my full-time job, she's from the community, and she saw me because I gave a workshop on content SEO. And after that workshop, I just did it, out of like giving back to the community. And out of it, she's like, I want you to work with me. And those kinds of things that open the doors for you are because you really give and receive from a group of people that are like-minded, have the same like interests and communities. Like if you feel alone, if you're starting out, sometimes people feel like they have to have experience to be part of like community. Don't like, there's always like people that are willing to help you out, or you can help them. So if someone's listening to this that wants to get into SEO, I'm like, do it. Don't be alone. Don't feel bad if you're learning and want to get into a group, a conference, etc. Like, please, that's the best way to learn. And for me, it changed my career forever. Like, communities change careers forever.
What would you say every SEO needs to, should we say, optimize within the industry, or improve within the industry?
I think we should try to explain more what's SEO, like be more open about not having the industry being so like close. Like most people, as we've said, like don't know what SEO is. And sometimes us as SEOs, we get very technical on what is it that we do, or we are very like close with, I don't know, we don't explain like to other people what's SEO. So be more like, oh, I do SEO. But what if you change the words? Like, I do SEO, that's in English, that's like search engine optimization. So let's try to say SEO, which is like website marketing. Let's try to find a way to simplify things so that people don't feel like it's such like an alien thing or such like a technical thing, and be like, yeah, what is it that you do? Or I'm an SEO consultant or an SEO agency. Like, try to put words or explain better what is it that we do and what's SEO, where SEO is this thing that helps get more visibility and conversion. So not being like, yeah, optimizing for Google, it doesn't say anything. And people are like, okay, I have no idea how that works. So trying to put more education whenever we speak about SEO, whenever we try to convince other people to invest in SEO, or anything that is around us with other roles, industry, stakeholders, whatever, be more out. I don't find the right words in English, maybe, but like feel like more friendly, be more friendly in the way we speak about SEO, so that people can understand, okay, I kind of get the concept now. Like try to find in your own words how to explain it. So for example, for me in Spanish, or people ask me, what is it that you do? I do website marketing. And they're like, oh, okay. So because if we say like digital marketing, they'll think like, okay, they do social media or something.
Yeah.
If you say SEO, they're like, and what is that? And you say search engine optimization, they're like, oh, okay. Then if you say, for example, I do marketing for websites, or I do website marketing, or I help websites appear in Google search. Things like that are like, oh, okay, and how is that done? Like brings more interest into like, and actually creates more of a conversation.
Yeah, and I think if we did so, people will be less, they'll find it less daunting. Yeah, and skeptical as well, because even right now, till this day, it's seen as a black art or black magic type of industry, and it's a shame because it's something that everyone can easily understand. Not necessarily the entire aspect of SEO, but an area that's pertinent to them. So a web developer, for example, will know why we structure things, a website, why we structure pages a certain way. A copywriter would know why we want keyword within content on within copy of pages. digital PR will know why we always ask for links. Several departments can benefit from knowing just a bit more about SEO. And again, if we lead that awareness sharing or spreading, it'll be better for us as well. What would you say?
Agree, 100%.
What would you say you see forthcoming within the industry?
Well, the inevitable, I think, and we all fear, or I fear personally, is of course like more AI being part of the industry, part of SEO. Like of course, ChatGPT changes things a lot. So I think what's next for us is trying to understand how can really like AI replace our work and how we can use AI to our advantage. I know it's not like it's going to replace our things completely, but there are some things we should be like questioning ourselves. Like, am I doing this like manually, or am I still like copying and pasting things on a Google sheet, or am I still doing like manual descriptions, or am I still like manual reporting? Like, there's so many things we're still not, or at least I'm talking for myself. Like, we're still not automating most things and using AI to our advantage. So I think it has to be a learning curve of, okay, what is it that we can do with AI so it works for us, so we can focus our resources, time, and energy in other things that create more with the help of AI. Of course, without like going against like Google's guidelines. We're not going to like create a complete piece from scratch, but I think there are some things that can definitely be replaced, and we should start to adopt them. I think for a year. So for me, like a priority is to like understand where I'm in my processes, in my consultancy, where I'm not being smart with time, resources, and work, so I can really make that process faster for me and better so I can use that time I'm wasting on like better, like more productive things.
Do you fear it's a real threat to SEO AI?
I don't think so. I don't think it's like ever going to replace the human work and the strategy part that it is. However, I do think there's some things that we need to take care of and do and find ways to, like, some things that it will replace. Some aspects, I would say, like, I don't know, writing 1,000 meta descriptions or meta titles for e-commerce. Maybe if you that's part of your business, that's some people might replace it, or some people will think that ChatGPT or AI can replace SEO work and not hire SEOs anymore because they would think AI is doing the work when it's not. But again, education on like, yeah, AI is here, that this is what it can do, but this is the potential if you use AI with like an actual person, a consultant. So also like educating people on, AI is a very good thing, but it's not 100%. You can't have a website and run it completely on AI, there's like tons of things that need human work. So I don't think it's a threat per se. It's more of a warning, I would say.
Yeah, a disruptor, as some would say, industry disruptor.
Exactly, for sure. Yes.
What are you looking forward to this year?
For me, it's around. I think there's, for me, it's like still a long road ahead to learn. Like, I know a lot of things, but I think there's more that I can learn about SEO. It's like never ends, right? So for me, it's like make sure I'm covering all my bases. I don't know, GA4, like how to do that, automating things. And for me, it's about education courses and like building my other like platform business, which is like the courses in Spanish. They're like Aprendo SEO, so learn SEO in Spanish, and that's like kind of my big project for the next 5 years. So this year for me, it's like launching a second course, being able to survive this wave of AI, tons of work, and building a course. But looking forward to getting more people into the industry, having more conversations about education, and yeah, I think it's going to be a very good year for SEOs for sure.
Oh yeah, I think it's going to be a pivotal year. I think the next 3 years, I think, will be a very pivotal one. Important years, I would say. Arianna, thank you so much for your time. Where can people find you online?
Thank you for hosting. It's really a very nice initiative, what you do, and democratizing SEO. It's like a very nice concept and value. So I'm hoping it's like the first time we work together, and not the last one. And there's like many
not the last, no,
watching this and growing. So if you're interested in my story, in my courses, you can go to my website in English, like ariannalupi.com/en. That's like the English version. And then if you know anyone that wants to learn SEO, and like any Spanish-speaking person that wants to learn about SEO, they can also go to my own website, or they can also go to aprendoseo.com or at aprendoseo on Instagram. I'll share everything with you via LinkedIn, so you can put it on the description here. But yeah, I'm usually on LinkedIn, like in English, like posting sometimes things where I'm at, events, speaking. And in Spanish, I'm on Instagram and TikTok on doing like Spanish content about SEO. Eventually this year, hopefully I'll get into YouTube as well and create start building the blog. I want to create a blog on Aprendo SEO's website. So tons of things going on this year. Hope yeah, we can chat and talk more about SEO.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Arianna. Have a brilliant day ahead.
Thank
and
you.
We'll catch up again soon.
Thank you for having me, Austine. It was a pleasure.
Cheers. Bye now.